Feel the 2 feet. They are your anchors. They're stuck on the ground like limpets. And you're tugging yourself from foot to foot. So this leg stretches and that extends the toes. And then as it releases that stretch, the toes curl and pull at the ground. So if you get the arms going as well, so this arm straightens, the fingers lengthen, same as the leg straightens, the toes lengthen, and then they clench and pull. So we're pulling from foot to foot, which is the way we move in Tai Chi, if we can. Moving this way requires spirit, but it also keeps you down. So when you pull into the leg, it tends to pull you down into the leg. When you push from the leg, it tends to push you up from the foot. So here I'm pulling down, pulling down. Want to feel that action in the leg of straightening. In order to straighten the leg, it's not simply enough to relax into the straightening. I want to tense into the straightening. So I really want to work this muscle here to make sure that leg is as straight as possible. And then I just release this and it'll start to bend. And then I can just keep that bend going by tightening my hamstring. So when I tighten the front muscle here, the quad, in order to straighten the leg as much as possible, this muscle at the back, the hamstring, will also tense, but it's not because it's working, it's because it's being stretched. So when I release this tension, the stretched tension here will start pulling back. And then I just keep that going by tightening the muscle. Feel the movement of the leg, the bending and the straightening, as being these two muscles, the quad and the hamstring, alternating. So there's always tension in the leg. When I've straightened this leg, it really drives me into this leg. I want to feel the real fold in my hip here. And then here, this is really single weighted. There's a sense that I've even got more than 100% in this leg. I've got my body weight plus the push of this leg. We want to spend just a bit of the time within our practice practicing closer to the ground than we're really comfortable with. You can't do it all the time because you just don't have the strength and the stamina, but at least some of the time. And just give yourself time to get down. You can't go into it straight away. You need to warm into it. Bring it up to riding horse. The riding horse is like a cave. Imagine you're sitting there in your cross-leg posture, looking out of a cave. You've got the mass of the rock behind you, and you're looking out of the mouth of the cave. Your own body is your cave, and you're just gazing out of it. But there's a sense that you're also relaxing back into the back of your cave. The cave of solitude. And without moving the body too much, just mind in Dantian. We want to feel that mind in the Dantian is natural. This is what John used to say. If you get your posture right, so by that, a spine that is clear without any lumps, without any kinks, and vertical. So a good posture and a relaxed body and a mind that's willing to let go of its anxiety, then gravity operating upon you will naturally just bring your mind to settle here. There's a wonderful quote of Wittgenstein. It must have been in an interview, I think. And he said, I am not a religious person, but I can't help doing everything that I do religiously. So for me, we need to become religious people. We need to be bound to a daily practice, a daily devotional practice like prayer or meditation or Tai Chi. Something that we just do regardless of how we feel and what we want. Those are the only people whose company I can abide. Feeling the vertical, the spine. This is reaching upwards, and the bottom is reaching downwards. And then feel the roundness that surrounds that verticality. So this is riding horse, really. So let's just quickly go through those 5 circles, because that emphasizes the roundness. So the circles of the legs. So this one here on this plane, and then the one behind, like we're sitting on a big ball. Circle of the arms. So the horizontal plane here, and then the big circle here, that the arms are holding, and then the spine. So those circles are just wrapping around you endlessly, wrapping you up, cocooning you in softness and circularity. Now let's just try this exercise just to emphasize the turning, the circles. Trying not to move side to side too much, just feel the spine in the middle, pretty much stationary, and just turning side to side. We'd like to spin like the dervish. And then you've just got one continuous circle. But here, I turn one side, there's a circle here, and then I turn this side, there's a circle here. Even though these two circles are in front of you, get the feeling that it's going behind you. You're not really in the center of it, you're at the back of it, but you want the feeling that something is sneaking behind your body here. And then I pick it up as it comes by here. Trying to keep the sacrum and what surrounds it relaxed, relaxing. If you concentrate too much on form, on the shapes you're making, the visualizations you're establishing, then you'll get tense. the cave of ward off of riding horse. So just feel the two minds, really. So you've got a mind that's enclosed, that's settled. This is like mind in Dantian, that's settled inside the body, inside this cave. But you also have an awareness that extends out of that, beyond that. You just want to feel the difference between this sort of settled mind is like the meditative mind that doesn't really care what's going on outside. But then the other mind that can perceive and reach beyond that. Just this simple exercise of just bringing the energy up from the ground, bending the legs slightly as you bring the hands up to the heart, and then pressing down. That's it. So with each repetition, I get a little bit deeper. I want to clear myself of that reluctance to sink. So just let your bum stick out, let your bum reach back a little bit as you go down. Otherwise, you'll just hurt yourself. You won't be able to get down. So the more my tail reaches down and back, the more my thymus, my upper heart, wants to reach up. So your hands aren't really moving. I mean, you could have your hands on a table here and then just be pulling yourself under the table. And then pushing down on the table to bring yourself up. Back to the cave. Mind in the Dantian. You don't want that instruction to cause you to either look down or collapse down. It's just an awareness. It's just, this is your foundation. This is the place you operate from. This is your fount of power. So whenever you do anything, you'd like it to come from here. Whenever you reach for anything, whenever you say something, every action comes from your Dantian. And you can just concentrate on that and just feel that. Now, before you do something, just get a sense of this and then do it from here, like pushing from the ground with your legs. An upper body action always comes from the Dantian, including thoughts. And now let's just turn simply. So remember, keeping my shoulders, my head in line with my hips. So I just want to turn the hips. So we don't realize what we're doing most of the time. So when I ask someone to turn from their hips, they register that they've understood what I've said, but they certainly don't do it. They turn from their shoulders, so they're doing this, and their hips are barely moving. So here we just really want to turn from my hips. And it feels strange because it feels like your upper body isn't doing anything. And of course it isn't. Your upper body is just relaxed and motionless. It's my legs that are actually revolving my torso. So when you feel that you're doing something with the upper body, that's when it's no longer Tai Chi. It should all be coming from the legs, and preferably from a turning. And in order to turn from the legs, they have to operate like opposites of each other. The right and the left are doing the opposite of each other. Feel the primacy of turning. Turning is a bit like mind in Dantian. It's the beginning of it, the beginning of Tai Chi. Mind in Dantian, then turn the waist. It's a bit like driving the car. You can be driving the car quite intricately and quickly, and yet you're chatting to the passenger next to you, you're listening to the podcast or whatever. And so it's a different mind. It's a different mind that is moving me to the mind that is thinking. The mind that is thinking, we're trying to just quieten that down and give this mind that's moving me center stage. And it all hinges on proprioception, body awareness, self-awareness. Do I really know what I'm doing? Am I doing what I think I'm doing? Am I doing what I've been told to do? And my students get impatient. Oh, you've told us that before. And I say, well, why aren't you doing it then? We are. No, you're not. Just because you know something, it doesn't mean you're doing it. So this is what we're doing. We're just looking at it. As soon as I get into it, as soon as I start being excited by what I'm doing, by being interested, that sense that the work starts to generate itself. That's when you're probably getting it wrong, because that's when you've got you coming into the movements. You want it to be simply from the ground, from the legs. And you'll know when it's not coming from the legs, because you'll just feel the shoulders getting a bit tense. They'll sort of rise up a little bit. And it will start to get a bit tense around here. And that will manifest as an inability to turn so far. So the further round you can go with the hips, the more relaxed your waist, your groin, your sacrum will be. Then just bring the feet up a bit into a normal posture. Now let's just try. It's the same thing. I'm still turning from here, but I'm just allowing the upper body a bit of freedom. It can swing. But I don't want to exaggerate the swinging by getting into it. Mind in the dantian. That's the center of the whirling. And if your mind is in the dantian in a natural, relaxed way, then the thymus will lift. If you're trying too hard to get the mind in the dantian, then you'll pull your heart down. And that's wrong. And then back to riding horse. Now let's just extend the posture just a little bit. Okay, now we're going to do the circle one where we do this. But what I want to do is just not move my arms relative to my torso. So my whole torso just remains locked, stationary. So just have your hands here. So what we want to do is make a circle with the hands, but by moving from the legs. So I have two movements. I can turn left and I can turn right. So that will get this extension in the circle, and I can move down and I can move up. So just putting those together make this circle. Remember when we were just going down when we were doing this exercise? Yeah, so just trying not to lean forwards any more than you were there. Here I have to go down with my legs, not down by inclining my back forwards. It's amazing how difficult people find this. And it is difficult, but it does respond to practice, like everything. I've started practicing the applications with a student, and it is amazing how, as soon as there's any movement of the hands relative to the shoulders, it suddenly feels manipulative, hard, and nasty. Whereas when she can get it from the whole body, then it's just so soft and effective. I just get drawn into her circles. And then going the other way. So developing the proprioception. Normally, I would feel my arms when they move relative to my torso. Here, I want to feel my hands making this circle when it's coming from my legs. And then just reducing it. Now just going backwards and forwards, trying to keep the hips forwards. And just using the straightening of the empty leg. My back leg really straightens to get this hip round. And remember, this leg needs to push back, otherwise I'll do this. The front leg is pushing me backwards, the back leg is pushing me forwards. then going back. And again, my front leg has to really straighten here to get this hip back. And I have to allow myself to lean forwards a little bit. To start with, I just lock my two hips together. But then it starts to relax, and then I have to be really careful with the two legs to make sure that they're cooperating with each other to give this impression of stillness forwards. Get the arms in, so you can either just keep the arms with the legs or just do this exercise. Let's try the other leg forwards. I'll try it sideways on, so it's some idea of just how much one has to lean forwards. Trying to keep my hips square. So I come forwards here. I really have to try and straighten this leg to drive my left hip forwards and push with the front leg a little bit. And then I go back, and now I really have to straighten the front leg and just allow myself to lean. Let's just repulse monkey and push. And with both, I have to just make sure that I don't drift the waist towards this corner. It remains bow and arrow. It doesn't drift into riding horse. So it's sinking. You're allowing yourself to lean forwards because you're trying to get down into that back leg. So when you allow yourself to incline like this, then you really get a sense of something working its way down the spine and out of the sacrum tail. So this is sinking, really. It's the therapeutic aspect of sinking, somehow working the trauma in your spine, the tensions down and through the legs into the ground. Don't worry about sticking your bum out. You don't have to do the form this dramatically. Feeling that I can go all the way down. I can almost sit on that back heel, like with a squatting single whip. And now heels. So my heel never really goes down. It just touches the ground, kisses the ground, and then comes back up. Just allow it to loosen this whole area. Feel these ripples that come up as the heel comes up, just rippling up the spine, some coming out here, but a lot just buoying up the heart. The weight comes into the foot that is coming up with the heel. So I'm not doing this. This would be easy. By keeping both heels off the ground all the time, as this heel comes up, it will tend to turn me this way and bring me in this direction. So the leg's having to work quite hard to push through your sinking weight. And the balance is difficult because your heels are off the ground. And so that's really means you have to just stay really aware and attentive. And now just lifting the foot. I root through the heel. So when we were doing the previous, this exercise, we're not on the heels. This is why it feels so wobbly. As soon as I get the heel down, I have stability. I have the stillness of my bones, of my skeleton. And then this foot can lift. It's not a simple matter to get into the heel. It just requires the mind to change a little bit. So I'm using this arm, the arm that's gone out, to balance the leg that's come off the ground. Because the leg's quite heavy. And I don't want to get tense around here in order to maintain balance. I sink into the heel. This arm goes out, and that enables this foot to come off the ground without feeling that I'm falling in this direction all the time. I'm in the middle with these two limbs, like the pole of the funambulist. There's that beautiful Pal Clay picture, that the tightrope walker. The way he's drawn, he's the stable aspect, and the apparatus that he's walking on is unstable. Heel. That enables this heel to come up. Heel. Some aspect of me has gone into the ground, my root. My toes go down first. That's my spirit, if you like, catching its territory. And then I can send down roots. I can let the heel lower and become established. And that then enables me to do something. Feel the tail. My tail wants to dig down through the heel and into the ground. And now let's just try just reaching up. I'm going to reach up with one hand. This hand is going to come onto my chest, onto my heart. Feel the extension from your left leg into your right hand. So get the cross energy. Try not to straighten the legs too much. So my fingers are really trying to reach upwards towards the ceiling, but my sacrum and tail are still trying to sink down and find the ground through this heel. And then I just pull down like you're plucking an apple off the tree and just bring that into the heart and allow the other arm to go up. I'm just trying to feel the extension coming from my spine. So the energy that's coming down my arm from my back is very much from the ground, from that heel, up the leg, across the sacrum, up the spine, across the shoulder blade, and out. So I really have to turn this way. I have to turn away from the hand. So I can't see my hand unless I turn my head towards it. If my head is with my spine, then I can't see my hand. I'm reaching into the unknown. And then I just pull something down and allow it to enter my heart. And then that passes through to the back, comes out of the other arm. So there's a circuit. It's like the figure of 8. So as always, we just establish it and then feel it. Thinking is feeling. That beautiful phrase of Theodore Roethke. Thought is feeling. What is there to know? So as soon as you know something, it's like you no longer feel it. You're no longer really invested in it. It's like knowledge that you, oh yeah, I know that. So you can sort of dismiss it. That's what we want to steer clear of. With each repetition, there's a sense of something slipping down and falling away to the ground. Like a cloak is slipping down. You're becoming more exposed, but at the same time, each repetition is shrouding you in a film of energy. So it's a strange reality. So I'm shedding layers of self and replacing it with layers of softness and energy. And then the same thing, but now reaching forwards, but again, turning the head away from it so that I can't see the hand. I can sense it. My proprioception tells me where it is, but I can't see it. I've reached into darkness. The dazzling darkness. So the centrifugal and the centripetal, even though we're not turning, we're not ostensibly producing these forces, they're still there. So a sense that your posture is expanding, your circles are getting bigger. And that is enabling your mind to settle into this empty center. And now just turning the hands, making this circle. Feel the mind that maintains this expanding. This circle has to feel as though it's getting bigger and bigger just to maintain it, because it will naturally tend to shrink. As soon as your mind wanders, the energy will dissipate and the internal pressure will lessen and the circle will reduce in size. So the bottom hand is getting underneath here, and the top hand is getting the level of your throat. So you're sort of defining the circle that encloses your torso. It doesn't include the hips, it doesn't include the head. And again, I want as much as possible coming from the turning of my hips. And you can turn either way. So this is like the roll back way, but you can equally go the waving hands in the clouds way. It's a bit like blowing up a balloon. The internal pressure is increasing, but the fabric is remaining intact. My mind wanders, then the fabric will break, and the internal pressure will reduce. And then just bring your attention to the feet. So I turn this way, this leg is straightening, and then this foot catches the ground. There's a sudden snap, and that starts the movement back. So I move from the toes, but it's my heel that supports my structure. Okay. So let's just try one more. Reaching up. So the more you reach, the more it will release the heart, the upper heart, but also it will release the sacrum. And then just bringing it out, reaching out as far as you can, and then just bending the legs until you're touching the ground. So you're lifting something up from the ground, bringing it up. The hands turn over at the heart and then reaching up. Again, sacrum sinking and then out again. Try and keep your gaze forwards. Back to here.